right, boys, here we go. It is time to get into Burt Krown's career. Still with Utah, because it's impossible to get a 96 overall franchise player away from Utah when he has 492 games played, 480 points. And let's not forget, he's an absolute playoff monster. So how do you get that player? It's pretty much impossible. We did learn a lot by doing this. We will make sure that if we do any in the future, we sign that player first before we do anything else. You know, learning curves, right? Learning curves. That's all what this is about. So let's dive into this and see where the next 3 to 4 years goes for Burt. This is coming into his 7th year in the league. So it's pretty massive. Let's see how he pans out. Let's see if he can crack that 100-point marker as he's getting very close, right? 68, 66, 68, 82, 88, 85, and 91 points. Massive years. Let's see where this goes. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go to the start of January, and we'll see exactly how Burt's first couple of months goes. He usually starts out slow. We know that, but let's dive into it and see the 2030 season. Not gonna lie, Toronto's looking good this year with a 21-13-2 record, but how's Utah looking? The Utah Hockey Club 15-19-1. Not an ideal start to the year, but Burt is a point-a-game player throughout the start of the year. So 35 games, 35 points. Can he get to the 100? It's a long way to go, and he's really got to step up his pace. Right now, he's on 82-point pace, but we know the first half of the year is always slower for him, and he gets going when we get closer and closer to the playoffs. So can we turn this point-per-game season into something more? Let's take it to the end of the season, see who makes the playoffs, who doesn't, and if Burt's going to have another good playoff run. If he's going to, it's going to be on the back of Utah making a huge comeback in the new year. Okay, here we go. We've reached the end of the year. The Utah Hockey Club made the playoffs in a crazy turn. Unbelievable out of Utah, going from 15 wins, turning into January, getting to 42 wins and making the playoffs. And Toronto, of course, made the playoffs because they're a wagon, and this is their year. But before we get into it, Burt did not get to that 100 marker, but he is above a point-a-game player. So last year he hit 91, this year he hit 90. He's floating in that area. But one thing I will say is this is the first year Burt has hit 40 goals. 30, 31, 27. So he is getting better at shooting the puck, and the puck is going in the net for him. This is his first 40-goal season. Utah will be going up against Vancouver, so we're going to have to see how that shapes out, and Toronto versus Buffalo. So will Utah play Edmonton, Toronto play Montreal, pushing to see who goes to the conference finals? We'll have to find out. All right, here we go. The Toronto-Buffalo series. Let's see how this one shakes up. We've got Toronto and Buffalo in Toronto versus Buffalo. That means in Toronto, and the AHL season's done. Toronto is going to win the first two, lose the third, making it a bit of a series here. Ooh, the series is all tied up. Coming to the last 3 games, Toronto wins the 5th and wins the 6th. And Ottawa beat Montreal, so that's pretty exciting. Unfortunately, Utah did lose to Vancouver, so Burt is out. Hopefully he had a good run as we go into the series, Ottawa versus Toronto, and then we'll just wrap up the playoffs right there. As Burt is out, we don't need to see how anything else shakes up. And unfortunately, Toronto loses to Ottawa. Now, it wouldn't be a trade deadline day if we didn't offer every single first-round pick we have to Utah for Burt, right? So, start sending offers. Burt's trade value has plummeted, so maybe we can actually get him here without offering so much. As you see here, look at that trade value. Toronto would be over the legal salary cap limit. So let's see if we can trade somebody off and see what happens. We're still over the, oh man, we got a lot. We got a lot to negotiate here. Let's give it a try. Is this gonna work? The trade is accepted. Burt is back with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Did they pay too much? We don't know. We don't care. Burt is back in Toronto, and that is the most important thing. Oh, this is huge, boys. Let's get rid of the draft here. Let's sim to the end of the draft and just get ready for a spectacular year. Burt is back in Toronto. Now, first things first, we got to hit contract negotiations with Burt, and we are throwing it at him here. We are throwing it at him. $15.2 million for 8 years. He's 26 years old. That'll take him to 34. I think that's a good contract, and let's lock him down. Remember, we're not worried about the finances. We are worried about getting him back on the team. And with that being said, he has accepted the offer. Why wouldn't we? 5'8", 223-pound bowling ball just got a bag, baby. We've run into a problem here. I can't re-sign Bert. Why can't I re-sign Bert? We sent him the contract offer. I'll get back to you. We advance a day. I accept your offer. Offering this type of cash makes it easy to re-sign. Thank you for recognizing my hard work. And then when I hit confirm, and then I go and look at contracts, Bert's not signed. We're going to lose Bert again. This is going to be hard to watch. It's bugged. We can't re-sign created players, apparently. Oh, that's unfortunate. Now the question, where do we have to watch Bert go and sign to? I don't even know. Where do we have to go and watch Bert sign to? This is going to be hard to watch, boys. This is going to be hard to watch. Try again here. We're going to try again. Offer the kid a contract. We're going to offer him. Oh, yeah, we can't offer him anymore because we signed everyone else. This is devastating. This is a heartbreaker. Well, there we go. It's time to find Bert. Who signed him? Who got lucky? It's not the Ducks. Thank God it's not Boston. It's not Buffalo. Not Calgary. Not Carolina. Not Chicago. Who, by the way, if you didn't notice, Chicago has Bedard, Wyatt Johnson, and Nathan McKinnon on the first line. That's kind of crazy. Not Colorado. Columbus. Where are you, Bert? Not in Montreal. I was nervous. By the way, Cole Caulfield made his way to Nashville. That's interesting. Burt Krown has found his way over to Vegas to play along with Jack Eichel. Off to Vegas we go. And Bert, what a wonderful career you're probably going to have. So let's sim again. And by the way, we're just not going to try to acquire Bert anymore because it just can't happen, right? We can't sign him. So there's no point in trying to acquire him. Wait, he's already signed. So I guess we could try to acquire him one last time. Let's go to the trade deadline and see if we can acquire Bert because he's signed for 7 years now. So it'd be at least a good run. Trade deadline, here we come. All right, here we go. Well, we know the Leafs didn't make the playoffs. They came, oh my God, bad year to trade away your draft pick to get a guy that you couldn't sign. Hey, that's tough. That's tough. That hurts. If we had Bert, that'd be fine. I have 20 million. That's pretty rough. But, not making it. And then the Vegas Golden Knights get 100 points. They're in the playoffs. Hopefully Bert can have a good run. Before we go to the draft and everything, we will check how Bert's playoff run went with Vegas, how his stats are looking. We'll get a full update before we carry on to the draft. Well, we're not going to draft, but before we carry on to next year, we will give you a full update on Bert. In a wild turn of events, Nashville wins the Stanley Cup. Nashville wins the Stanley Cup. That is unbelievable that Nashville just won a Stanley Cup, boys. That is wicked. Now, Utah gets Toronto's second overall pick as Toronto was number 10, but they win the lottery and they climb to 2. Oh my God, what a jump that would have been. What a pick that would have been for Toronto. You know, not having Bert doesn't hurt Austin Matthews' production. 111 points in 82 games. But Bert, it's the 101. His first year getting 101. 42 goals again. 59 assists. Let's go. The kid goes wild with Jack Eichel. Finally getting into that century mark, the 101. Let's go, Bert. And then we've got his playoff performance of 6 games, 7 points. So he still can't get to where he needs to get with the Stanley Cup. And as it goes for hardware, he's still only got the Rookie of the Year, but a big no move, $20 million contract. That's a fat payday. The Tub of Goo has a good shot on him, but the Tub of Goo can only do 92 speed. Ooh, for a 96 overall, that's pretty bad. All right, here we go. We're heading into the year 2032. Will the Toronto Maple Leafs make the playoffs? Will Vegas make the playoffs? And will Bert have a career year? He just had a career year getting into 100 points, and he is still looking to go deep into the playoffs. So can he have a career year getting over 101 points, and can he go deep into the playoffs? Let's sim to see how the first half of his season goes. All right, well, Maple Leafs are legit dead last. It's what happens when you trade away all your picks to acquire a player and then you can't sign him. We live, we learn. and we try to forget. But Vegas, on the other hand, has 47 points, so they're going to make the playoffs, and Bert is going to be dominant. How in the world did Mitch Marner end up in Vegas? What are they doing in Toronto? Like, what are they legit doing? I didn't even see that happen. But obviously, they didn't re-sign Jack Eichel, or they traded him or something. I have no idea. Does Toronto have Jack Eichel? Toronto does not have Jack Eichel. So they did not trade him. I don't know what's going on over there. But Bert has 48 points in 35 games. What is going on in 2033? It has gone wild. Let's wrap up this year, see what we got, and probably call this the last year of the video. And then we'll do another 4 or 5 years after that. This video just had so much going on with the highs of getting Bert and the lows of losing him. Well, that's the year. And this was an upsetting one. Not gonna lie, this was an upsetting one. However, Vegas does make the playoffs, so we're gonna sim and see if Vegas can go deep with Bert and get Bert a Stanley Cup, because he's not coming back to Toronto with the no move clause. And rip to Bert coming back to Toronto, but can he win hardware somewhere else and get those 100-point seasons? We're going to find out. Well, the kicks just keep on going. So that player we couldn't sign, that we traded 2 picks for, well, they were the first 2 rounds in the next 2 years. One was second overall, and wouldn't you know, the next one was the first overall. So we gave a first and a second overall pick away for a guy that we couldn't re-sign. That's just unfortunate. So, I mean, to wrap today's video up, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at Bert's career after we look at the year he had. 1, he had a great 82-game year with 93 points. And in the playoffs, he had 9 games and 12 points. So his playoffs are getting a little better. I'm not going to lie. The playoffs are getting a little better, getting a couple more games, getting a couple more points, but he hasn't had that big run since he had the big run for 21 games with 36 points in Utah. Ever since then, there hasn't really been much. 7 games with Toronto for 3 goals in his rookie year. Then we lost him, and then Utah had him for a while, and then Toronto traded for him, couldn't get him, and then Vegas stole him in free agency after Toronto paid so much for him. This has been a devastating story. But 75 games, 96 points in his career so far in the playoffs, and 82 games for 93 points this year, which he is above a point-a-game player, as he puts 738 points or games together for 764 points. The kid is becoming a superstar in the league, and we're gonna have to wait and see how the rest of his career shapes out. But over a point a game, 14% shooting percentage, 40 goals, 42 goals, 47 goals. You're gonna have to check out the next video to see if Burt Krown can hit that 50 goal mark and become a true sniper and still be putting up the assists he's putting up to get in to the 100 points. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you're enjoying the series. We did 3-4 years, I think, right now, with a heartbreaker of getting Bert and then losing Bert. And keep an eye out for the next video, where we do another 3 or 4 years and just see how this career goes.